Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. Today, I wanted to talk about Gunbroker. And, I've used Gunbroker a couple times. I've bought classic firearms. I bought a 7mm Brazilian Mauser. I bought my Luger from there. But there's times I've searched for things on Gunbroker just to see what the going prices are for, whatever I'm looking at, Even up to, I think I once searched an MG 42 or a STG 44. One of them is a German machine gun, belt-fed machine gun. The other one was the first assault rifle because I was curious what the going rate prices were. Well, it's circulating through Twitter, and even Mr. Guns and Gear is covering some of this, where the ATF is going door to door, attempting to confiscate forced reset triggers or FRT triggers. This is something I reported on before, but what's interesting is that this latest case that I heard about was this person just researched one, just like Google searched one on Gunbroker, just searched it in the Gunbroker tool, and the ATF showed up there to talk to the gentleman, and that's basically all that happened. But still, the fact that the government is watching Gunbroker so much, and Gunbroker is allowing them to get access that freely, should be a warning sign to all the 2A community that you can't even trust someone you should, like Gunbroker. We should be able to trust Gunbroker because they are supposed to be in our community. And from this point forward, I don't think I will patronize Gunbroker. Arms of America, I think, is better anyway. But this is something to be cognizant of, is that if you're looking for something or looking for what the price of something should be, that's usually what I used to use Gunbroker for. This may not be the tool you use nowadays because it could get you into a lot of trouble. Peaceful noncompliance, I agree with. The fact that the ATF would ever bother to come to someone's house for searching for something is disturbing to me on a number of levels because the ATF doesn't have a great history for interactions with people, i.e. Ruby Ridge, i.e. Waco. It's probably not the best institution to go door to door and expect both parties to end up on the good side of the earth. Let's just put it that way. It's a bad plan. And the more that they weaponize the alphabet agencies, the more I can see interactions getting spicy. I hope that isn't the case. I've talked about the podcast, or when I was talking about yesterday on the podcast, was where's the line? I keep bringing that up, and where's the line? I'm actually talking to myself and trying to sort that out myself. The line for me has been a long time ago where we don't listen to the ATF, period. I'm taking my cues from illicit industries that are now not illicit industries because they simply just didn't listen. They simply didn't comply. And that seemed to have been the right path for them, for that industry. I'm talking about cannabis. But you also look at what happened during COVID. The people that just lived their life and didn't let the government come into their life, they're still doing okay. And they did great during the COVID stuff. That it sucked. Some of them had to sit, or as the Chinese put it, lie flat, stay still, not be able to work or anything. But they're recovered from that. They're still recovering financially, I believe. I know I am. But it leads to that conclusion in my mind, is that I'll voice my opinion. I will continue to raise hell. I will continue to podcast and try to raise and highlight these issues on my small platform. But ultimately, kind of done listening to them. The ATF has really shown that they're arguing in bad faith. There's nothing that they're going to do in good faith anymore. And that seems to be the case with everything in the government. You look at the Hunter Biden story, Hunter Biden laptop story, that is, and how it hasn't done anything. The government has not went after anything on there, and there's been stuff up to and including child pornography type stuff on that laptop. And it shows that unless you're a rich billionaire or in power, you're safe there. But anyone else, they're coming for you. So it could be just a matter of time before they come for anything you have, because they other you. And when I say other you, all they have to do is put you in the category that's on the outs of whatever the issue is of the day. You look at what happened yesterday. Jason Aldean dropped a new song. It's kind of cool. It's something I've said on this podcast since COVID, because of what was happening with the Ferguson riots and the riots in general around Black Lives Matter, that they can't try this in a small town. If they try that type of stuff in a small town, they'll get summarily dealt with. And that's what Jason Aldean's song was talking about, is if you try to do those things in the small towns, you will be dealt with summarily. Whether that's getting your butt kicked or stopped outright cold with a firearm, you will be dealt with. And the reason why that is because we're still kind of a community in the small rural parts of the country. You know, his video got dinged because he showed a courthouse that supposedly some people got lynched at. But he's from Nashville, Tennessee, or Memphis, Tennessee, one of those two. So it shouldn't be a big deal that he showed something that is kind of there. You know, and he didn't advocate in anything in that song about lynchings or anything like that. He was talking about, you do those type of actions that you've tried in that you have successfully tried in larger cities, you will be summarily dealt with. And I firmly believe that. In my little small town in northwest New Mexico, if somebody lit a Molotov cocktail and went to go throw it at the cops or at a building, I'm pretty sure one of my redneck friends or myself would stop that individual whatever way we had to, because this is our town. You know, we're sick and tired of seeing you tear stuff up. There's a lot of good people that have worked their entire life to get a business up and running. And for you to loot or try to burn it down is completely unacceptable, even if I may or may not like the business or the business owner. I'm going to stand toe-to-toe with you because it's not right. You don't do that. And that's what small towns are all about. You know, that's where you saw protests about the lockdowns for COVID, and you see protests, counter-protests to BLM stuff. They don't make the rounds on the news cycle because they're small. They need to be in the larger cities, but if you do that, you're actually kind of going to bump up against those dudes that are more violent. The peaceful people that protested in Farmington against the COVID lockdowns, against the governor's lockdowns, they were peaceful. Law enforcement made sure that they were peaceful. And most importantly, those people were very respectful of law enforcement. And that's still something that in rural America that we need to worry about, is that we still in rural America don't understand that the people that would put their boot on your neck are probably going to be law enforcement agents. And, you know, that back the blue line, you're going to have to make some common sense assessments when it's time. Because a lot of the cops that are left, and I say left, the ones that were really good, the older ones, the ones of my generation and older, have either retired, left one way or another, or moved on. And what's left are the kids that will kind of do whatever they need to collect a paycheck. And that is something we need to worry about, because those are the ones in the small town that are on the outs. And what I mean by that is they're the ones that would comply no matter what, and did comply no matter what. They're there to collect a paycheck, and that makes them dangerous to anyone who's of the freedom-loving community. So just some thoughts about what's been going on. Be careful about what you search on Gunbroker. I would highly recommend not buying anything from Gunbroker after this type of thing, because you buy it and someone's going to get a record of it, and it's going to go directly to the ATF. And while you did nothing wrong and you did everything legally, the ATF, you're sending an invite to the ATF. And that's something we need to be careful of. So be careful of who is interacting with the ATF. And it looks like Gunbroker is one of those companies, websites, that is harvesting data and allowing the ATF to use that to go after your rights and your freedoms. Like, share, subscribe, be great.
In the top, I can't let it slide. My politics are rather controversial. Who would have thought that I ain't catching all slack and I have enemies on my ball stack? I'm thinking insanity's